from the whitehouse.gov. Blueprint for an AI Bill of Rights.
Oh, there it is.
Making automated systems work for the American people.
Excellent.
I think it's a lot of nothing, to be honest. I was looking at it just for a little bit. And let's just talk about what their proposal is. Okay.
And this was released today, the same day Elon came out and said he's going to buy
That's right.
Twitter.
Safe and effective systems, algorithmic discrimination protections, data privacy, notice and explanation, human alternatives, consideration, and fallback. Now, I don't know, these are kind of like nebulous terms, but some of it's actually I agree with. Safe and effective systems, automated systems should be developed with consultation from diverse communities. Stakeholders, take a look at that. What does that word mean? Luke?
What?
Stakeholder.
People who are affected.
You know, people who have steaks and they eat them and they're holding the steak.
People who have skin in the game.
I'm going to give you one more chance, Luke. No, you don't know?
Go ahead. No, people who, of course, are
It's the World Economic
investors.
Forum.
Yes.
It's the World Economic Forum.
Investors, controllers, centralizers.
It means you. The World Economic Forum says we have to move beyond shareholders and move towards stakeholder economy, which is who is affected by this as opposed to who owns it. So this is basically World Economic Forum, Davos type language language. They say domain experts identify concerns, risks, potential impacts on the systems, blah, 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 blah. Look, I agree. Ian's brought this up. If you don't know what an algorithm is doing to you, like when Facebook was experimenting on people, we got a problem and they shouldn't be allowed to do that. The next one's actually really interesting. Algorithmic discrimination protections. They say you should not face discrimination by algorithms, and systems should be used and designed in an equitable way. Oh, here we go.
Oh, equitable.
It's exciting.
But here's the interesting thing. They say you can't be discriminated on the basis of race, color, ethnicity, sex, pregnancy, childbirth, medical conditions, gender identity, intersex status, religion, age, national origin, disability, veteran status, genetic information, or any other classification protected by law. Full stop. That's a very, very broad and bold thing to say. What does that mean, protected by law? There's a bunch of different places in this country that have different parameters for their human rights law. Notably, Washington, D.C., which says political affiliation is a protected class.
That's right.
If they're going to claim anything protected by law, well, then I'll assert in D.C. it is. Does that mean if they were to implement these policies, if you live in D.C., could you sue if you were banned for political reasons? That's the interesting thing.
Is that a states' right thing? Didn't DeSantis do something like that in Florida where if you are running for office and you get banned, you can sue? I can't remember exactly what it was. He did something like that on a state level.
Yeah. And the thing is, the defense will just be, well, we banned them for something else, right?
Yeah.
Instead of political reasons.
But it's not working because, as we saw with Alex Berenson, when he sued, I guess the ruling was they have to explain what they did because you have a contract with them. So I can put in a contract. I can terminate this contract for these specific reasons. Like this is what Twitter does. Twitter says we can ban you for these reasons, and so if they ban you and it's for a reason, they have to explain exactly what they did. I suppose there's an argument that they say we can ban you for any reason or no reason. But there was I think it was a Fifth Circuit Court ruling where the judge said, no, they can't. These big tech platforms can't just ban you arbitrarily. They don't have the right to do that. So that'll be interesting to see how that gets adjudicated as it makes its way up to the Supreme Court.
Because that's not actually a contract if they could do that. Wouldn't that be some sort of violation? What am I thinking? Would it be some sort of violation if they can just change their rules and ban you as they go and change the rules? If you get on Twitter in 2010 and then they've changed the rules, like, are you agreeing to all those changed rules?
This was a big thing with Patreon. There was a lawsuit, and Patreon abruptly changed their rules and tried to get everyone to agree to the new rules without, because they don't know what it is. Yeah. And it was because it was the suit required them to go to arbitration, and they had to pay the cost of arbitration. So if like 1 million people sue, they got to pay, $100 million or some ridiculous amount. So they tried changing the rules, and the judge was like, when these people signed up, they signed up and agreed under these terms, and the action you took, which violated the terms, happened before you changed the contract, so we're going to operate under the previous rules. I don't know where that case ended up going, but this is interesting because I believe big tech platforms should not have the right to just ban you for no reason. That should be stricken as just like not applicable. And so the example I'll give you is we need to start treating this all like being a tenant, a landlord, or like the big tech platforms are landlords renting you space in exchange for something. In this case, for Twitter, it's by you being on the platform, they can sell advertisements. So there's an exchange good. There's an exchange here. Imagine a landlord was like, you can live in this building. The rent is $2,500 a month. And you're like, okay, now here's the reasons I can evict you. If you smash the windows, if you're throwing food out the window, if you're too noisy and you won't stop, and also for literally any reason at any time. Yet no court is going to uphold that. They're going to be like, you can't do that. There's laws. So I view this stuff like, no. Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, they don't get to say, we're going to enter into a monetization contract where you can start a business, you can monetize yourself on this platform. We are going to monetize you, but we can terminate the contract at any reason with no. I think, imagine if the world operated this way. Like you go to a landlord in downtown of your city and you're like, I'm going to open a bakery. And they say, okay, so long as you're not making like swastika cupcakes, I don't care, you're fine. And then one day for no reason, he says, you made mint chocolate chip cupcakes and I hate it, so I'm kicking you out. I don't got to give you a reason. How could businesses survive if landlords could just terminate a business like that with no argument, with no lawsuit? Now that most businesses are moving online, now that tons of people make their living on the internet, we absolutely have to today ensure protections for people as if they're a tenant.
I agree with that because I went through it right after not after the election, but after the when Biden got into office, so January 21st. I ended up getting banned from Twitter, and I was never told why. I was just banned, arbitrarily banned, and I was gone until the last week in April this year when Elon said he was going to buy Twitter, and I miraculously reappeared. But that was really tough because, I had like kind of built this brand and I was, like growing and I was spreading a message, and I was just gone one day and I was no longer in the public square, and no, I didn't do anything wrong.
And did they give you a message or?
No, just like you violated terms and you can appeal this. So I appealed it, and then they were like, 3 months later, they're like, no, now you're permanently suspended. And I'm like,
that's what you get for appealing.
I know, right? Like, yeah. So it was really difficult, to be kicked out of the public square. I mean, I don't post anything that bad, I don't think, but yeah. So I've lived through it. I am absolutely an advocate for an AI Bill of Rights. I know why they're doing it.
I don't know about this one.
Now. No, I don't know about this one. I haven't read through the whole thing yet, but this one, I mean, the timing of it with Elon
who gets to enforce this AI Bill of Rights?
And a lot of the language is very broad, so I would have to take a closer look at it. But there are points that I do agree with in there, like the arbitrary banning of why whatever, but
of course that's not going to be in there. And you should never trust the government.
Oh, God.
And you should never trust the government ever if they use broad, generalized language, because they will use it for their own personal interest. And they have been manipulating social media for their own personal benefit already in such an extensive, bastardized way that it's sickening to most people.
Yeah.
I agree with this one right here, Human Alternatives. It says you should be able to opt out where appropriate and have access to a person who can quickly consider and remedy problems you encounter.
That would grow jobs too, because nobody works at Twitter.
Exactly.
It's just too big.
Yeah.
But my response
would that be
is,
a regulation to force Twitter to have a bunch of human customer service agents?
Yes.
Is that what that is?
And considering their profits are in the billions, they can afford to hire a lot of customer service agents.
But they don't.
What about
they
smaller
do,
companies, though?
But what they usually do is they outsource it. They go to places like Africa, they go to places in Asia, and they get cheap labor markets to do a lot of the banning and censoring. And there was even a controversy with one big tech social media company hiring a specific group of people that hated people for their sexuality, and they went on a purge banning people, and there was no way to get any justice from it because there's no way of contacting Google and being like, hey, why did I get banned? Can I talk to somebody? Can I please have some kind of way to have some accountability here? None of that.
I'm just concerned that this only helps Twitter keep their market share in the big providers. It could be a barrier to entry, requiring additional costs to enter the market and start up a new social media platform.
I mean, it is a problem that you have companies that say we're not. I mean, look, if you start a company that people are signing up for and then they have encountered a problem that breaches the contract and you say I'm not going to remedy that, then they sue you. And I suppose the issue is poor people can't afford to sue, so what, companies just get away with screwing over customers? You like imagine if this was a brick and mortar store and customers came in and said, how do I return this product? It was defective. You could say, we actually don't have any customer service. You can email us. I mean, that's just not okay. So maybe it's going to bake costs into things, but you need to be able to remedy your problems with a human being. And I don't know about Twitter, because Twitter is garbage and there's too many people on it. One of the issues is that the value of an individual is not great enough to warrant the cost of a customer service rep. This is one of the problems with the massive user base of these platforms, and also of governance in the United States. 770,000 people per congressional district. You can't even address all of the issues of every single person. You get someone on Facebook, and I think a Twitter user's value was like $2. And so how many Twitter users do you need to cover the cost per year of one employee? So is that employee able to actually address all of the concerns and issues? That's not going to happen. I do think one of the biggest problems with all these platforms is that they keep catering to these whiny babies. Now, let's do another brick and mortar, analogy. Imagine you own a cupcake shop, and there's a dude sitting there talking with his buddies, minding his own business in the corner, and he's talking about how he voted for Donald Trump. Uh-oh. So some other guy on the other side gets up and says, "Kick him out now."
Karen.
And they're like, "Why?" "Because he is saying hateful things. Donald Trump is a racist." And they're like, "Okay, sir, you have to leave because you've upset this person." And he's like, What did I do? And like, "Well, you were saying things that upset him, so get out." How are you supposed to function as a business like that? It should be the other way around. If you got a problem, you can leave. Here's your cupcake. Bye-bye. There's the door. This dude's minding his own business. System is, I just don't see how this works. Granted, I think the White House AI stuff is, some people are mentioning in the chat, they're trying to save themselves because they know Elon is going to come in and take control of the narrative.
Yep, exactly. That's why the timing, I was like, as soon as I saw that.
Why did they not
shot
do this
chaser.
before? Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, he also talked about opening up the algorithm so it allows people to see what they're actually subscribed to. A crazy idea, as of course we are ruled by algorithms that not only control what we see, but also censor content arbitrarily, not on fair rules. As we learned recently, there's a certain rules for very famous people, and there's a certain rule for people who don't have as many followers, people who don't have as much influence, who of course get punished more. This was specifically detailed with Facebook, who of course get to play by a different set of rules. So that's a completely unfair system. It's not just. There's no clear rules, and I think they want no rules, so you have to live in fear. So you have to think twice before you post anything. So you have to worry, hey, will I lose my ability to have a voice in our conversation in the national dialogue if I dare talk about this idea? This is how they rule. They rule through fear and censorship, which is absolutely a disgusting abuse of power.
So you're saying they want there to be no rules?
No. Well, Elon Musk specifically talked about opening up the source code and the algorithm where people get to see what they're subscribed to see. He also talked about rules, especially when it comes to adult content, especially when it comes to illegal content that is already illegal in the United States and punishable with a law enforcement stepping in and punishing people for saying and doing certain things. So obviously there are some rules here, but when it comes to an algorithm where you see exactly what you're subscribed to see, I think that's an amazing thing that made the internet so popular in the first place.
I wonder, aside from the fact that a lot of the people with the larger followings are protected, I wonder if that also has to do with ads. They're going to sell more ads because these people there's going to get more viewership to the ads on the accounts of the larger followings.
I think they do a cost-benefit analysis, and they say, if we ban X people, how many followers will leave for those people being banned, and then how much revenue do we lose? And they ultimately determine, you know what? The left is more cantankerous than the right. If we ban someone on the left, they get really, really mad and they lose their minds, and then they threaten boycotts and they organize boycotts. The right doesn't. They won't even take off work to go protest. The left will. So the cost-benefit analysis is simple. You ban someone on the right, you're going to lose money, but you'll lose more money if you don't pander to the left. So that's what they do. Although surprisingly, because I'd imagine a lot of people on the left don't have a lot of money, but I guess it skews. It's like on the right, you have more working people, more middle-class people. On the left, you have wealthier people. So it's like we only need to keep 100,000 wealthy Democrats happy on Twitter, but we have to keep 1 million Republicans happy to get the same level of purchasing power. So it's obvious which direction this goes. Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.